Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimama, and this is Today in History for the last day of July 2020. For those who believe in New Year's resolutions, well, we've gone more than halfway through the year 2020, so half a year and a month. How's it going? I didn't make any resolutions, so I just, make decisions and try as much as possible to keep to the decision that I've made. Anyway, without much ado, hanging around, let's get cracking. 1498 is the day, or rather the year. Today, obviously, is today, the 31st of July. Not today, you know what I mean. On this day, 31st of July, Christopher Columbus, the guy pictured here, discovers, in quote unquote, the island of Trinidad on his third voyage. So it does tickle me a bit when, a lot of us hear things about people discovering places that other people have been inhabiting for millennia. It is a bit of an interesting one. But anyway, yeah, he was possibly the first European to set foot on Trinidad. And this was on his third voyage. So, like I said earlier, this happened on this day in 1498. So who was this guy called Christopher Columbus? I never knew he was Italian. He's actually Italian. The name Christopher Columbus sounds English to me. Perhaps he had an Italian variant of this name. I don't know. I haven't seen anything online that points to that. Perhaps I haven't done enough research. But he was an Italian explorer and navigator who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean, opening the way for European exploration and colonization of the Americas. His expeditions, sponsored by the Catholic monarchs of Spain, were the first European contact with the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. So, Christopher Columbus for you on this day with his ship or boat, whichever way you call it, somewhere in between, I guess. I don't know if these vessels had any special names. Drop me a comment if you know what these little ships were called in those days. Seagoing vessels, ships, boats. Anyway, let's move on to the year 1777. This guy called Marquis de Lafayette was made Major General of the Continental Army at the age of 19. So very, very young age. He must have been very good at what he did. His full name was Marie Joseph Paul Yves Roch Gilbert du Motier. Known in the United States simply as Lafayette, he was a French aristocrat and military officer who fought in the American Revolutionary War, commanding American troops in several battles, including the Siege of Yorktown. After returning to France, he was a key figure in the French Revolution of 1789 and the July Revolution of 1830. Yes, I think I mentioned this revolution, or celebration of this revolution, the French Revolution that happened in July. I don't remember the exact date, but that was meant to be celebrated in France this month. The celebrations were muted because of COVID-19. So I'm gonna try and put a link on this video. I say try, I'm not promising. If I find that video and if I'm right in my assessment. Okay, so let's move on to the next event on this day, 1921. Father Patrick Francis Healey, a mixed-race American. Most Americans would regard him as African American. That's the way it goes over there in the Western world in general. He's named President of Georgetown University, becoming the first African American to be named President of a major US university. He was also the first African American to receive a Doctor of Philosophy degree, a PhD. So that's him pictured here, Father Patrick Healey, on this day. And you can see that he oversaw the construction of Healey Hall. Obviously, Healey Hall was named after him. Okay, let's move on to next item for today, 1961. So on this day, Israel welcomed its 1 millionth immigrant. So you can see some immigrants, happy to be home in quote. Yeah. So let's move on. 1962, actor Wesley Snipes is born in Orlando, Florida. He's best known for playing the leading man in films such as New Jack City, Jungle Fever, Passenger 57, Demolition Man, White Men Can't Jump, and the Blade series. So that's Wesley Snipes for you. Happy birthday, Wesley Snipes. Brilliant actor, maybe, must add. 1964, back in space, the Ranger 7, pictured here, photographs, pardon the pun, the moon. So Ranger 7 was an unmanned US lunar probe. It takes the first close-up images of the moon on this day, 4,380 images in total, before it impacts with the lunar surface, northwest of the Sea of Clouds. So there's a place called the Sea of Clouds apparently on the moon. Interesting. The images were 1,000 times as clear as anything ever seen through Earth-bound telescopes. 1,000 times as clear. Wow. So I'll show you some images of the moon that this Ranger 7 probe photographed on this day. So that's the Ranger 7 again. And you can see the dates there, July 31st, 1964. And finally, another close-up image of the photograph. Okay, so we move on to the year 1965. On this day, cigarette ads are banned on British TV. So that obviously has led to the improvement of the health of the British people in general. Hopefully a lot of people stopped smoking because the adverts were not there to tempt them. Those who were smoking before cut down, and hopefully some of them eventually stopped smoking as well. But advertising does work. So they know, the people of the United Kingdom, the government, those in charge of our affairs in the country, know that advertising works. So out of sight, out of mind, that's the philosophy, essentially. Out of sight, out of mind. So that was a good thing that happened today in the United Kingdom. In the United States, it happened in 1971 on the 2nd of January, I believe. So I'm going to mention that when the time comes. 1990, on this day, Lawrence Douglas Wilder, this guy, is elected as the 66th governor of Virginia, becoming the first African American to be elected as governor of a US state. So this just encapsulates his philosophy, and I'm going to read it. Obviously, you can read. Most of you who are watching this can read in English. There will be those who will tell you that you can't make it because of how you look, because of the way you talk. We all have heard that. I almost listened. So imagine if he had listened. He decided, all these people are saying is right, I'm African American, no one's going to vote me into this office. Everyone who's white is racist against me, woe is me, I'm not going to progress in life. You know, at some point, we as African Americans, we as Africans, we as Black people need to take responsibility for our actions. We cannot keep blaming other people, other races for our misfortune. Yes, evil has been perpetrated against us. A lot of evil has been perpetrated against us, but that is no excuse. That shouldn't be an excuse. It doesn't condone those who have perpetrated these evils against us. But we need to like sit up and say, okay, this stuff has happened. What's the way forward? You know, these people are not around all the time pulling us back. You know, at the end of the day, where we get to in life is mostly dependent on our own efforts, not the efforts of people who are trying to drag us back. Okay? Racism, there is racism, but we need to step up. We need to step up the game and stop blaming others all the time for our misfortune. So that's a good example here. He almost listened, so he probably wouldn't have run for this position. He ran and he got it. So good on you, Douglas Wilder. Let's move on to the year 2012. On this day, a man called Sebastian Jung wins gold at the equestrian event final for Germany at the London Olympics. So that's him pictured here, and obviously made his country proud. Then a royal, daughter of Princess Anne, Zara Phillips, she got the silver for her country, the United Kingdom, on this same day, the same event. She was part of the Great Britain silver medal winning team. Pictures of her as well. That's Zara for you there, and that's her and her mom, Princess Anne, obviously congratulating her daughter, very proud of her daughter's achievements on this day 8 years ago. And that's Zara again. That's Zara again representing Great Britain with the flag of the United Kingdom in the background. Okay, we move on to this day again, 1912. So a lot of Olympic stuff going on. Michael Phelps, arguably the greatest sportsman of all time, becomes the greatest medal winner in Olympic history as part of the winning American 4x200 meters freestyle relay team in the London Olympics. Phelps' 19th career Olympic medal and 15th overall gold. Awesome. So pictures for you, Michael Phelps. And with a thank you message to everyone, especially Americans, for supporting him, I guess. Next, we move on to the year 2016. Yuriko Koike, this lady right here, elegant lady. She is the first woman to be elected Tokyo governor. She was born on the 15th of July, 1952, and is a Japanese politician who currently serves as the governor of Tokyo. She graduated from Cairo University, so Cairo is in Egypt in Africa, a BA in sociology, as the top student in 1976, and was a member of the House of Representatives of Japan from 1993 to 2016, when she resigned to run in the Tokyo gubernatorial election, and was previously the Minister of Defense in the cabinet of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but resigned in August 2007 after only 54 days in office. So that's a woman who was elected governor of Tokyo in 2016. Again, back to what I said earlier about the African American governor. She may have had detractors as well. Oh, you're a woman. This is a man's job. You know, you can't do this job. But she didn't listen. You know, presumably, Japan is a forward-thinking country. So you could say, okay, everyone was behind her, even though she was a woman. I doubt it. I'm sure there were detractors as well who didn't want her to get that position because of her sex. Okay, and then incidentally, interestingly, there's a Tokyo 2020 design there for the Olympics. I don't know if that's going to happen now. I think that's been cancelled because of the pandemic. So, yeah, that's Yuriko Koike, first woman to be elected Tokyo governor. Tokyo, incidentally, for those who do not know, is the capital of Japan, and Japan's largest city. I think at the last count of about 20 million inhabitants, one of the largest cities in the world. Last but not least, this happened a few hours ago, 11 a.m. British time. The UK's first Dutch-style roundabout with a red bike lane opened in Cambridge this morning, 11 a.m. at a cost of £2.4 million to give cyclists and pedestrians priority. About time because pedestrians and cyclists are vulnerable road users. They haven't got any metal, like you drive in a car or a truck, you have some protection. I mean, this goes without saying. And I think it's also a sign of a people who are thoughtful about other people, a system, a government. When people treat those who are vulnerable with kindness, you know that you're in a car and you're in a potentially lethal weapon, so you should drive responsibly. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't, so they have to be forced by measures like this to drive responsibly. So it's a good development, and unsurprisingly, it's happened in Cambridge, a town that hosts one of the top universities in the world. So on that cheerful note, we end today's Today in History. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Do not forget to subscribe so that you receive updates of my video uploads. Stay safe, guys, and I shall see you tomorrow, the 1st of August, for another edition of Today in History. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.